Here at COSI, we're proud to call Columbus home. Let's go find some science around the city. Hi, I'm Lauren from COSI.
And I'm Sarah from Experience Columbus. We're here today at Jeni's Splendid Ice Creams. Many people don't realize that Jeni's was founded right here in Columbus, Ohio. And Columbus has one of the top food scenes in the country.
I'm dying to get in there. Let's go figure out the science story behind Jeni's.
Hi, welcome in. Welcome to Jeni's. I'm Beth Stallings. I'm our Director of Innovation.
So what sorts of things do you need to think about when you're developing new flavor combinations?
We have to think about what ingredients are we actually using. We don't have just one set recipe that we use. We really formulate each individual flavor depending on the ingredients that we're putting into them. So if we're using something like a cocoa, for example, that has a tendency to dry out ice cream. So we need to kind of balance sort of the water activity in there to make sure that what we're getting at the end is really smooth and really kind of luscious, so that it actually has that wonderful texture that we want. But if we're using something, let's say like a vanilla or an extract, we have to think of sort of that concentration so that it shows up the right way in the ice cream, so that it's kind of at that right level where it doesn't taste too strong and it's not too weak.
So much goes into making ice cream. Who knew? So who are the people behind the ice cream? Do you have scientists on staff, or are they, do they have pastry or chef kind of background?
Like a little bit of all of that.
Okay.
So we've got a pretty tight team, an R&D team. So we've got food scientists on our team. He knows how to take sort of what we call a bench sample. So something that we make maybe on a small scale in our R&D kitchen, and take that to a bigger facility where we can run a whole bunch of those pints, because what works, in a few pints on like a small machine isn't exactly the same. So there's a lot of science in that formulation that we have to think about. And then we have some sourcing folks who help us sort of procure all those ingredients. We've got some folks with culinary school background, some bakery background, art school background. We've got a little bit, honestly, of everything. Okay, so one of the things I love most about ice cream is we talk about flavor, right? We talk about flavor is everything. And the great thing about ice cream is that it's really high in butterfat. It actually has to be at least 10% butterfat to qualify as ice cream. But the great thing about butterfat is that it actually can capture scent. Studies show that it's about up to 90% of what you taste is actually what you smell, right? And when we think smell, sometimes people think like orthonasally, like right through the front of your nose. But when we think of ice cream, we're actually thinking retronasally. So what's actually aerated on your palate, kind of coming up through the back of your throat. Someone who's tasting wine, they kind of like swirl it around their mouths and that sort of thing. We say the same thing when we're tasting ice cream, that you want to make sure that you're breathing, make sure that you can aerate everything that's in there, because as the ice cream melts, it actually unlocks scent and releases it kind of into your mouth and back kind of up through your nose, so you get all of those aromas.
So my mouth is an ice cream decanter, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
How do you officially taste ice cream to make sure you're getting all of that?
Can I give you a sample?
Oh, we want to. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a sample of our wild berry lavender. So this is a berry ice cream. These ones specifically, we actually use essential oils to make it. So there's a little bit of lavender, there's a little bit of orange essential oil in there. So I'd say, so as you're tasting it, kind of make sure you breathe in a little bit and sort of let it melt on your palate. And the scents really, they kind of unfurl one at a time. So you'll get that sweetness kind of first, but then you get some berry, you'll get some lavender, some orange. So the different kind of weights of those scents will start to aerate, and then they'll kind of cue into your brain. You'll be like, oh, this is what I'm tasting.
I love that. So Beth, this looks amazing. What flavors do we have here?
Yeah, so we have one of my favorite combinations here. So it's our gooey butter cake, which is cream cheese ice cream with caramel sauce and vanilla cake, with our rainbow buttermilk frozen yogurt. So it's passion fruit, key lime, and raspberry yogurt. So it's super tart.
What an interesting combination.
These are very unique. Why would you recommend these two flavor combinations?
I actually recommend them because they're opposites. So it really helps to show how two different sensations that we feel, so something sweet and then something that's a little bit more sour, a little bit more acidic, can actually balance each other out. So it's that kind of idea of like opposites attract. When they're done sort of in the right ratio, they actually can highlight each other.
So Beth, how does your team come up with all of the flavors?
Some of it is being inspired by trends, inspired by things around us that we love. A lot of it though is nostalgia, to be honest. So we were going back to kind of the idea of scent and how so much of what you taste is what you smell. Well, so much of those smells are associated with memories, right? So if we think about classic combinations that we love or memories that we love, and we use those kind of as starting points to try to see if we can capture what we remember into ice cream.
Wow. Seems like ice cream is not only like a natural science, but also a social science.
Totally. I really think all food can be that way, right? That it is that tie to memory. It is that I think anything to really land for you to sort of feel something, you have to have kind of a reference point. So if we can find that reference point, we can connect with someone that way, then we can really land on a great flavor combination.
It's more than just the ice cream, right? It's the people behind it as well. Thank you so much for having us, Beth. This was awesome.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
I absolutely love the idea that the sense of smell is so important when we're determining whether or not we like flavors of ice cream.
It was so delicious to try all those unique flavor combinations. Science really is everywhere, even in how we eat and enjoy ice cream. Thanks for joining us on Science Tour 614.